Praises to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Kwa Kodash. Big shout out to the apostles, the elders, the Akiam, the Akwath, all thundering along, keeping pace with the storm. This is Luke 11, chapter 25. Actually, I want to go to Matthew, chapter 12, 44. There we go. This is for people that fall off and drop off, how the spirits get to them. This is 43. When the unclean spirit is gone out of a man, he walketh through the dry places, seeking rest, and findeth none. That is to say that as a spirit, without a home, without a host, it's as if you're wandering through the desert. It's not comfortable for a spirit to be out of the desert. Even this is shown in the parable or the story where Yahushua drove out unclean spirits from a man who'd been sitting on gravestones, and he put them into a herd of pigs, because they were scared. They didn't know where they were going to go. So it's very uncomfortable for a spirit to be outside of a host. Seeking rest and findeth none. Then he saith, I will return into my house. This is why, even when you are in the truth, you get yourself right. You shave, you stop shaving, you grow your beard, you stop eating pork, you study the scriptures, you push out videos, you stand in the highways and byways, for those that do. I don't tend to do that much. But the spirit always keeps on trying it, because you've driven that spirit out. You've driven the spirit out that you had, whether it was pornography, whether it's the spirit of lust, whether it's the spirit of vanity, whether it's the spirit of greed. You've driven that spirit out. Smoking, drug taking. You've driven that spirit out of your body, but it doesn't find any rest outside of your body. This is why, even when you're in the truth, it will keep on coming back and trying you, testing you repeatedly, trying you. And when he come and he findeth it empty, that is, if you do let the spirit back in, you find finding it empty, meaning that's interesting, because he finds it empty. That means that the Lord's spirit has gone. The spirit of the Lord has departed. You see, because the spirit of the Lord and an unclean spirit cannot inhabit the same place. But when the spirit of the Lord has left you, why would it have left you? Because you've fallen off. You've gone back to your ways. You've been tempted. You've done unclean things. The Lord cannot abide by unclean things. This is why all of them occult people deal with Eye of Newt, Toad the Frog, all that sort of stuff. Is to make sure that their vessel is empty, or to make sure that their vessel does not have the Lord's spirit in it, because he cannot abide by those sort of things and be with you. But, pork, and that's why Esau be pushing pork in the supermarket. So I'm digressing, but when you're freshly gone out of the truth, when you've freshly fallen out of the truth, what you'll find is that you're an empty vessel, because the Lord's spirit has departed from you. But yet it is clean. You haven't defiled the body to the extent, and in that space, the spirit doesn't feel comfortable. Why doesn't it feel comfortable? Because the spirits deal with dirty, unclean things. So when a spirit comes back, when he is come, he findeth it empty, swept and garnished. That is, it had been, you'd cleaned out everything, but yet the Spirit of the Lord had departed from you recently. Then he goeth and taketh with himself 7 other spirits more wicked than himself, and they enter and dwell there, and the last state of that man is worse than the first. That is to say, when you fall out of the truth, the spirit, when that comes back to you, comes back to its home, wants to make sure that you don't get strong enough to throw them out again. So it will bring back a whole bunch of ill vibes with you, in you, and they will grip you, and nothing is beyond the power of Yahweh Shai and Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai. So that is not to say that you cannot be free, but it will be harder. And it says there, and the state of that man is worse than the first. That's the state. And the last state, of that man is worse than the first. Yeah, so you're worse off than you were when you were out of the truth in the beginning. Even so shall it be also unto this wicked generation. That is interesting, because you see, the Lord doesn't see any difference between, or from Yahweh's view, a man and his generation are the same thing. That's why we often refer to Edomites as Esau. The Lord said that, you are of your father, and the lust of your father ye shall do. That is, the nations and the original progenitor of those nations are often the same, have the same spirit, and from a spiritual standpoint are one and the same. So, when it says, even so it shall be unto this wicked generation, we can say therefore that this wicked generation are in that same situation, because Israel was at first in the truth, and then they fell out of the truth. And the curses that came upon them when the Spirit of the Lord departed from them were even stronger than they had been before they had found the covenant of Abraham. Anyway, I'm going to shut off there because it's getting deep. Wishing you all a happy atonement. Stay strong, keep pushing. We're almost out of this. Shalom.